Amidst the dark he searches the night, lantern flickering from orange to white. The tree stands tall, a tale yet told. When he approaches, he meets his own ghost. Disclaimer: please forgive me now if there are a few mispronounced words throughout this video. This video is for educational purposes only and not to cause harm to anyone via family or otherwise. This video may also include sensitive subjects, including the mentioning of rape and murder. This story comes from a little road between Rensselaer and Francisville, Indiana, named Division Road or Moody Road. Almost every single website and web post I was able to find of Moody's Light has either a slightly different tale or a largely different story. Personally, I didn't know where to begin when it came to this spectrum, so I will be telling you quite a few different versions, but in post-it note fashion with only details that are relevant. Please note some of these are gruesome, so if you have a weak stomach, I'd advise caution. Number 1. In the middle part of the last century, a local man named Old Man Moody returned home one night to find his house burning with his family inside. After their deaths, Moody was said to have hung himself from a nearby tree. The orb is now said to be his lantern swinging while he searches for his family. Number 2. A farmer named Moody lived with his wife and 2 daughters in a little farmhouse off the road. One evening, he arrived home to find his family mutilated. Authorities investigated but found nothing. Afterwards, Moody became depressed and allowed his farm to fall into disrepair. One morning, a neighbor farmer came across Moody hanging from a tree, having committed suicide. Now a lantern-like light floats across the cornfields, whom they say is Moody in search for his family's killer. Number 3. At some unknown date, 2 brothers were out for a ride on their wagon when one fell off and the wheel of the wagon decapitated him. The haunted light seen is the lantern of the other brother looking for the head of his younger brother. Number 4. Moody had a son who was kidnapped and killed. When Moody found his dead child, he hung himself from a nearby tree. Ever since, you can see the glow of his lantern as he searches for his kidnapped son. Number 5. A farmer on the road had 2 sons, one in his teens and the other between the age of 3 to 9. One night, the youngest son ran out in front of an incoming wagon and was decapitated. The farmer and his eldest son went out searching for his younger son's head so they could put him to rest. But after years of searching, they never found it. Number 6. During a severe snowstorm, the wife of a farmer left the farm to never come back again. The farmer didn't know where she went, and so he went searching for her during the storm. He met his end there as well. The legend goes that the light is the man searching for his wife. Number 7. Back in the day, there was a man who found his family dead. He then hung himself from a tree. The tree got so much attention by the locals looking down this road that they ended up cutting down the tree to a stump. Number 8. There was an old man named Moody who was checking his crops after an unusual late frost. He was checking the crops with his lantern when some men decided to come, rape, and kill his daughter. He heard her scream, ran to go see, and forgot the wire fence where it took his head off clean. According to the flashing lights, if you are a descendant of one of these rapists, he will come to kill you. The activity is always at night from what I found. Some say after 10 p.m. and others claim it's best after 1 a.m. Usually you have to drive along the road until you find the tree Moody hung himself from, which is now cut down, and flash your lights 3 times. After this, a number of things can occur, but it all surrounds the appearance of an orb. The colors of the orb vary, from dull yellow like that of a lantern to orange and red, sometimes changing right before your eyes. It moved back and forth, bouncing or zooming ahead, stopping short of people, or even some say, chasing them. There are 2 very different experiences that are slight odds with everyone else's. One is that when someone approached the orb, they saw a figure of a man, and the other is from a tourist who decided to look at the orb from a distance with a pair of binoculars. He found that the single light had then turned to 3 or 4 lights, but without the binoculars, it appeared as one single light. Here are the theories I have found that circulate around this story. Ghosts. As I mentioned in the story part of this video, each tale is dark and terrible, full of death, rape, suicide, or all ending with an incomplete finding of what Moody was looking for. An unfinished activity before death that is this powerful has been seen in many cases of ghosts and spirits. Usually the ghost comes back repeating its last actions, and others will go out of their way to scare the new tenants until answers are found or driven away. So the story fits that of a ghost, but very rarely have I come across a story of a ghost taken on the form of an orb 99% of the time, and not doing much other than bouncing about and changing colors. There's usually a lot more to the story when it comes to these type of tales. Swamp gas. Another contender for Moody's Light is swamp gas. Personally, I can say I don't know much about swamp gas, but the authors of Willard, Indiana have been quoted in saying, "Swamp gas appears in marshy areas which don't exist in the immediate vicinity of Moody Road." Lightning ball. Balls of lightning is a natural electrical charge from the earth that accumulates and flashes a light. It is a pretty awesome sight to see, but it only lasts for half a minute at the max. Moody's Light has been said to last for a decently long duration and shows up in a wider variety of conditions than a ball of lightning would. Car lights. Nearby the location of Moody's Light is a highway known as 49. The geography of the area is hilly, and often the cars on the highway will show and disappear depending on the drive. One could reasonably agree that the orb may be the light of cars reappearing or disappearing on the hills of the highway. This, however, leaves me wondering about the explanations of why the orb sometimes lasts longer than that of a passing car. The very first article on this story claimed to debunk the legend of Moody's Light. I found it very interesting, but I didn't quite understand what they were trying to tell me when it came to the debunking process. So I decided to get a hold of one of the investigators via email, and luckily they got back to me. However, when I was reading from the site and then the replied email, I noticed some things were off as well. For example, the website I read from was researched by the South Lake Chapter IGT and the Register Republican. This was their findings. They were able to find that the last living line of Moody in that area was known as Granville Van Moody, whom quit farming in the 1930s and moved to an apartment in Francisville, where he died. His old farmhouse sat there for 30 years before being burned down by some kids that were fooling around one day. Their conclusion on the lights was the highway and the car's lights that passed by. Now, let's get to the confusing part. I looked up South Lake Chapter IGT and managed to find the site where I got an email to speak to one of the people who helped the research. This is the exact email they sent to me. "Hi Amanda, the Indiana Ghost Trackers did visit Moody's Road on a number of times. Number 1. The story is untrue. I spoke with the county historian in 2001 and was assured that Farmer Moody never existed. There was no one named Moody that lived around there, hence no murder of the girl in the story. There was a girl that was raped there, though the name wasn't Moody, and her father killed the rapist. That was out in the same area many years ago. The father got a jury trial and they found him not guilty. Number 2. We ran tests from Moody Road and watched the road for the light. We suspected, and it was proven, that car headlights from the southbound 49 line up perfectly with the road. When brights are on, you can sometimes see this light. It seems to bob up and down, move sideways, and even disappear because of the elevation of Route 49. We had a car on 49 communicating with the team run southbound with brights on and then stop and shut off the lights entirely, causing the light to disappear. I encourage everyone to try tests for themselves. As much as I wish to find the ghost of Old Man Moody, he's just not there. Some folks claim a light appears that moves east to west across the road, but I have never seen it, and that wouldn't be Route 49 from the direction if it did occur. Thanks." I'm very happy with the quick response I got. It was within a few days after I sent the emails, but the two stories don't match up, both of which say they debunked it in the same way. What do you think? Is there a ghost lingering in search for his head or family? All I can ask after this video is if you are searching for this light, please do not go knocking on the doors of the houses nearby. They've been very upset with the amount of people coming to bother them all hours in the night so people can see an orb that may or may not be a spirit. If you go adventuring, please be respectful of those living in the area. You wouldn't want someone knocking on your door when you're asleep asking about something you may or may not believe in. If you like this video, feel free to check out my Patreon, where I create videos on cryptids, hauntings, alien abductions, serial killers, and much more. If you can't support me there, please like, comment, and subscribe here. Have a good day.